India's economy is growing fast. Faster than most of the world, actually. So why is the Ministry of Finance sounding cautiously optimistic at best? Let's get into it. Alright, here's where India actually stands. Real GDP. That's the total value of everything this country produces. Grew at 6.5% in FY2. 024/25. Solid. But then in the very first quarter of FY2, 025/26, it actually accelerated to 7.8%. That's not just good, that's globally impressive. Most developed economies would kill for those numbers. But, and there's always a but, projections now show growth cooling down to 6.2% by FY2, 026/27. So what happened? Well, picture this. You're running a great export business, and suddenly your biggest customer, the United States, slaps a 50% tariff on everything you send them. That's basically a massive tax on Indian goods entering America. And the result? India's effective tariff rate. The real average tax burden across all its exports to the US has jumped to 37.8%. For sectors like textiles, jewelry and shrimp, which depend heavily on that American market, this genuinely stings. Now, flip to inflation. Headline CPI. That's the measure of how much everyday stuff costs you. Dropped sharply to just 1.5% in September 2025. Why? Food prices actually fell. You've probably noticed it yourself at the Sabzi Mandi. Cheaper tomatoes, cheaper onions. Great, right? Mostly. Except core inflation. Prices of everything except food and fuel, so think rent, school fees, professional services, is still sticky at 4.6%. The cost of running a business hasn't really eased. To keep things moving, the RBI has cut the repo rate, the rate at which it lends to banks, which directly pulls your loan interest rates down, by a full 100 basis points since February 2025. Borrowing is cheaper. And on the government's books, the fiscal deficit is being targeted at 4.5% of GDP this year, with government debt on a slow but steady path down to 76.9% of GDP by FY2, 030/31. So the foundations, genuinely solid. But the global environment is throwing some real curveballs. That's the big picture. But now the real question. What does the government's own policy response actually look like, and is it enough? That's exactly what we're unpacking next. So that's the big picture. But here's the question that actually matters. Where does your business land in all of this? Winner's side or the rough side? Let's start with the good news. Personal income tax cuts and lower GST rates mean your everyday customers have more cash to spend. More disposable income, more spending, more business for you. It's a pretty clean tailwind if you're serving the domestic market. And the RBI has been cutting rates too. The repo rate is down a full 1 percentage point since February 2025. What does that actually mean? If you're an SME taking a 50 lakh rupees working capital loan, even a 0.5% rate cut saves you around 25,000 rupees a year. That's not nothing. That goes straight back into your operations. Public sector banks are also in their healthiest shaping years. Non-performing assets, that's bad debt, loans people stopped repaying, have dropped to just 2.2%. Banks are more willing to lend, less likely to slam the brakes on credit. Good news if expansion is on your radar. Now here's where the chart tells a rising story for domestic businesses. But flip to exporters, especially anyone selling into the US, and it's genuinely rough. Textiles, jewelry, shrimp. 50% US tariffs are squeezing orders and crushing margins. If that's you, diversifying your customer base isn't optional anymore, it's urgent. On the structural side, labor code reforms, land titling fixes, and stronger IBC rules won't move your numbers next quarter. But they're quietly building a better operating floor for the next 5 years. Bottom line, domestically focused. This environment is working for you. Export heavy to the US, it's time to rethink your map. Now that you know which side of the ledger you're on. Next up, we get into what to actually do about it. What moves make sense right now, and what's worth waiting on. So now that we know where India stands, let's talk about where it's heading, and what that means for your business specifically. Here's the tension that should be on every business owner's radar right now. The government is actively cutting its fiscal deficit down to 4.5% of GDP. Responsible, sure. But it's doing that at the exact same moment US tariffs are squeezing exports and threatening growth. Think of it like a farmer slashing fertilizer spend during a drought to save money. Noble intention. But if the crop fails, there's no harvest to pay the bills anyway. Some economists are pushing back hard on this, arguing that a bit more government spending right now could actually prevent a deeper slowdown and generate more tax revenue long term. That debate is live. It's unresolved, and it will directly shape the next budget. Watch it closely. Then there's PLI, the production-linked incentive scheme, which on paper is a genuinely powerful manufacturing booster. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Execution is sitting at just 18%. You've essentially bought a Ferrari and you're crawling it through potholes at 18 kilometers an hour. Great design, broken roads. Approvals, compliance, disbursements, all lagging. Real money is being left on the table right now. On the brighter side, fiscal consolidation is actually great news for bond markets and foreign investors. As India's government debt tracks toward 76.9% of GDP by 2030, sovereign risk improves. And that means global funds are more likely to park money here, keeping the rupee stable and interest rates in check. So what's the bottom line? Domestically focused businesses, you've got real tailwinds. Cheaper credit, stronger consumer spending, healthier banks. Export-heavy businesses, hedge your US exposure now, not after the fact. And everyone, absolutely everyone, should be watching the government's next budget move. Spend to protect growth or tighten further. That single call will define the business climate for FY 2026, 27 and beyond. Follow us for more updates like this. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Instagram and X.